It's a statement often repeated and drilled into us. Financial capital is the lifeblood of an organization. But increasingly, when it comes to catalyzing growth, we find that it's not finance, but talent that is the deciding factor. Today, we have with us Mr. Krishnakumar, who's the Senior VP and CHRO of Essar Power, in our next episode of CXO Chatter to tell us why talent matters so very much. Welcome to another episode of CXO Chatter, and we have here with us Mr. Krishnakumar, who is the Senior VP and CHRO of Essar Power. Sir, thanks for being here with us today on this episode.
Good morning and thank you. Great to be here, and I hope we have a good conversation ahead.
Sir, in the course of my many conversations with industry professionals, one of the things that has stood out, they've talked about the importance of their early formative experiences. Is that something that also shaped your professional trajectory?
It's very true, because when you start your career, it's like starting in when you start at the kindergarten, you learn certain things and it keeps there. Similarly, when you come into an organization, I think the things which you learn in the beginning of the career, the culture or the way you get treated, the way you learn things, or the seniors, how they treat, I think those things leave an imprint in terms of your long-term thing. And I think that's the way you take it forward when you become into that position. I think my organization, which I have been part, I think I started my career with Bharat Petroleum, a great organization. I learned a lot, and I think today what I am, the beginning start was there. So obviously it's great.
So we've seen a lot of change happen in the last few years when it comes to the way we manage talent, the way we develop talent, the way we look to retain talent, acquire them. What have been the biggest changes or the biggest challenges in your opinion in this new landscape of sorts?
I think it has become very fast-paced. Things are changing drastically, and talent retention. I think there was a time when people used to stay in organizations put for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Now, if you look today's generation, maybe the career phase is maybe 2 years, 3 years, or
right.
Even lesser than that.
Yes.
So that's the way. So I think, but in organizations, when we are running on a long run, we will need people to be there. And I think, so today what we are learning is to work around. We have people who are there for 35 years and we have people who are there for the 3 months as well. So I think it's a mixed bag today.
So then how do you bridge that gap and create a more compelling proposition for talent? Because generally, like you said, you have talent who stays for 2-3 decades, which I imagine are slightly, shall I say, more vintage mentality, whereas those that are slightly younger are more compelled to jump. So then how do you bridge that gap?
I think I'm 33 years and I don't consider myself vintage. So that's the first part of it. So I think everybody needs to change. Organizations change. So if you look at Essar as an organization, are we the same what we were earlier? Our DNA is same, but we have undergone changes in terms of accepting things which are changing. So I think that's the best part of it. So I think people also do change. They learn things. So you learn from the juniors who are coming in. I think that's the biggest part of it, because you don't stop learning, and I think that's an important lesson for us.
You speak of that, and that's a very apt point in today's day and age, because you've got a lot of talent who are learning how to leverage new skills, Gen AI or otherwise. So then how do you, what are the key things you look for, in talent nowadays when you're looking to bring them on board? What are the key characteristics or skills or values that you are particularly focused on when you're hiring fresh talent?
Like say, we look at people who are in terms of leadership, in terms of communication, in terms of openness to learn. I think that's major part of us in terms of, as an organization, we are very entrepreneurial. We allow people to learn, you allow mistake, learn from those mistakes and then be successful. I think that's the best part of being in an organization which accepts and which values people. So I think that's the same message we try to convey, because we have people across the generation of various leadership programs which we take people from the leading IIMs, we take from GETs, engineer trainees, and so those are the stories which we have, because those are stories which are not, it's a fact. So I have chief operating officers who are grown from a graduate engineer trainee today. We have people heading M&A or people heading strategy within our team who are part of the bachelor leadership program. So that's the culture and DNA we have. And I feel showcasing those things brings me the talent. And Once you have the talent inside our organization, it is how we take them forward.
Mr. Krishnakumar, one more thing that I've noticed with a lot of people nowadays in the workforce, they talk about the importance of purpose. Is that something you also look to lean into more when it comes to the kind of talent you're bringing on board or the people already within the rank and file of the organization?
Yeah, you need to have that. The purpose part of it, I think, see, it's maybe if you ask me, did I have that purpose at 33 years back? Maybe not. Those days it was, okay, I need to get into a job, I need to be successful there. Today it is not. Today it is not the job which is going to be important for them. It is what they want to do, and is the job a media to achieve that particular purpose. So that's the change. And organizations do accept those things, we as an organization, and then can we have a match? And that's the more important thing. So I think it is in between. I think it's a learning curve. Organizations also learn from people who coming in. And there are people who accepts there are certain things that organization may not change. There are certain things which are going to be part of the organization. You need to accept that. So it's a mutual thing where you try to align your viewpoints to the organization, or the organization also try to make it towards what is happening.
It has to be a bit of give and take. Mr. Krishnakumar, I know we are almost halfway through the year, but looking ahead and perhaps even beyond, what are some of the major trends facing the talent space and facing HR professionals such as yourself?
I think particularly if I come from the HR space, I think the technology is going to be a big driver because we talk about a lot of AI and things coming up. A lot of things are coming up, but ultimately the personal touch, the people part of it is not going to go. But how technologically the dexterity part of it can be there for the employees. Right. And we are talking about, because there was a culture, there was a period where everything in HR was done by somebody in HR.
Yes.
Today, when we talk about platforms, today we work on various digital platforms across, whether it is the HR, HCM part of it, whether it is the engagement piece or the reward piece. Right. We are in a digital world. We are having things which are digitally there. So things are being done by people themselves rather than getting originated through an HR. So people are involved in the process, whether it is to hire people, whether it is to reward somebody. So HR has become a support kind of a role, being part of that. I think that's a big change.
So driving value to all of that.
So will that make the HR value go down, or no? It enhances. I don't think HR is going to go into oblivion. It is going to be there, but there is a difference in terms of, from doing things in a manual process, going through administratively, the HR role becomes more strategic. There's more time to do things which are more strategic, and people get involved when the processes are adopted by people and managers, and that's the best way to have a success in any kind of organization. Whether you have a new platform being launched, new initiative being done. Because if it is a process which is coming through a mail from HR, that's not going to be the acceptance. But when people own it and they use it, that's where it is going to be. And I think that's a big change we see in our own system.
Very true, sir. Before I let you go, just one last quick question I wanted to ask of you. Was there any piece of advice or any piece of wisdom you'd like to offer to budding professionals?
I think be open to learn, be ready to accept defeat, be ready to accept failures.
That's very important.
Yeah, and learn from those failures. I think that's the biggest thing, and don't stop learning. Yeah, and one advice is always, if you're actually in a college, you're studying, I think don't forget your basics. So if you're doing a mechanical engineering, don't forget your mechanical basics. That's something which you should always have. You might go ahead and do an MBA, you might do a finance, but I think what you learn, at least initial period, you need to be aware of what you learn.
Correct. Very true. Lovely. Thank you so much, sir, for being here with us and for being part of this episode of CXO Chatter.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
One thing has become clear to me through my conversations with Mr. Krishnakumar. Talent has become a strategic success factor that needs to be embedded in boardroom conversations. And through this, HR can become a driver of strategic business value across the spectrum. Thank you for being here with us on this episode of CXO Chatter, and we hope to see you next time as well.